all of their all of their recipes and formulas are out of a shoebox, so I automated their entire process.
Cool.
That type of thing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's now the top of the hour. Couple of little minor housekeeping issues. First, while Kip is giving his presentation, if you could all mute yourself. As always, we try to encourage an interactive program so that if you have if you have a question for Kip that's relevant to what he's presenting at that particular moment, by all means, feel free to ask. If you have some general questions, put them in the chat and I'll ask Kip at the end collated, or wait till the end. We'll unmute everybody, and we do encourage active discussion and interaction. As always, I'd like to thank Mark Hart, who is up in the top left hand of my window. Mark does all of our technical recording and all of our data stuff, putting all the information on the OC Callers website so that you can actually go and download it and visit and watch them at your leisure. Today we have welcoming back Kip Garvey for the second half of his presentation. Whether it's the second half, the first half, the new half, or the old half really doesn't matter, because if you've sat down with Kip at least 20 times and you sit down with him again, you'll never walk away without learning something new or looking at something with a pair of fresh eyes. So a very, very welcome addition. Kip has been a full-time caller for, what are we in, 2000 now? So that's what, 80 years? Since 1960 anyway, however many years that is.
Yeah, it's about 60 years.
60 years now, coming on to your 61st year. Very prolific recorder. I think you recorded on 6 labels. You own Eureka Records. We've got a couple of record label owners here. Member of the Caller Lab Board of Governors. I could go on about Kip for hours and hours and hours. Let's just use the word legend, because in my mind, that pretty much sums it up. He's running an online caller school, which if you do not take advantage of it, please do so. Doesn't matter if you're brand new, experienced, or an absolute genius at calling, it's definitely worthwhile. So I'm going to pass it on to Kip Garvey before I steal any of his thunder. Kip, the show is yours.
Okay, Mel, thank you. And Mel, we want to thank you and Mark both for the time that you dedicate to presenting these, the whole series, all of the information that you've been able to pass on. I remember when I started calling in 1960, it was extremely difficult to get any kind of information. We used to just rely on going to callers meetings where they would invite a host or a guest speaker in to try to talk about calling for what it was in those days, and it wasn't very much. There's a lot of technical stuff that we have to handle today, and it just takes a long time to get everything under control. Now, today's presentation is supposed to be, and will be, the simple applications of technical zeros. Technical zeros have such a bad rap. And I think it's because it's just very difficult to describe them. You have to have some technical background on the structure of all your choreography and have some experience putting together calls through whatever structure you're using before you can even begin to appreciate what a technical zero is. And once you do that, you adapt to the explanation and you get used to the verbiage of technical zeros, then you have to sit down and figure out how you're going to use them. And that's what we're going to concentrate on today. But before we do that, my heart goes out to all of the newer callers, so the people who have decided that they would really like to learn how to do this whole profession, all the skill sets that are required. And there are multiple skill sets required. If you were to equate this to any type of a formal education, most of your competent callers would be the equivalent of a PhD, which is 6 years of training. And it just takes a long time to develop each of these skill sets. And if you start developing the skill sets in the wrong order, and you get out of sync, then this actually extends your development time. It takes longer to undo the knot rather than to learn how to tie the knot correctly one step at a time. So I want to go back and talk to especially the newer callers right now and the first part of this presentation. And what I want to impress on you as newer callers is that in order to get into the skill sets that involve things like technical zeros, you first have to develop the early skill sets. And one of the earliest skill sets is being able to follow dancers mentally in your head. You need to do this. Now, this book needs to be in all your libraries. I don't know if in my screen I'm looking at it and I can't read it. It's backwards, but maybe you can read it. This is Out of Sight by Don Beck. And it deals specifically with mental image calling. But right off the bat, in one of the very early chapters of this book, chapter 3, the chapter is entitled Looking Out for Number One. And in this chapter of his book, he explains that it's very important. It's actually an imperative that we're able to at least follow one dancer, call after call after call through a whole sequence of calls, and know where that dancer ends up and where he's standing. And that's a little drill that we're going to do right now. And the first thing I want to do is to ask each of you to take a moment and grab a piece of loose leaf paper and a pencil and get ready to write some stuff down. All right. And while you're doing that, I'll see if I can begin sharing my screen. It says host disabled participant screen sharing.
What is going on with that?
There we go. I've got it marked. Got it. Okay.
I did change that right when I logged in. Yep, you're up.
Okay. And Misako, welcome. You're it's good to see you.
Yes, it's great to see you again.
I'm glad that you found the time to attend this session. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little test. And the purpose of this test is to assess your individual ability at following two dancers. Actually, I'm going to ask you to follow two dancers, not one. But we're going to emphasize following one dancer, and then we'll bring in the second dancer. And it's a form of two-couple training. This is extremely important for newer callers to get involved in doing two-couple calling. The two-couple calling is such a natural thing, especially in this age of the pandemic, because you must have two couples or three couples of friends that you can invite over to your house. You don't need very much room. You can push back the kitchen table, kick the shoes off, dance in the socks, and you can call to two couples until you've completely developed this skill. So this test that we're going to run today is a test that will assess our ability to follow these dancers. These are short routines, and the exercise that we're going to do is going to require you to write down on a piece of paper where you think the dancers are standing after the routine is complete. So if you have that piece of paper in front of you, we're going to do 20 exercise questions. So you can put down 1 through 20 vertically on the left-hand side. And your job is to, on the line, you're going to write where you think the number one man is standing and where the number one lady is relative to the number one man. You're going to do it in reference to the entire square. So even though we're dancing just two couples, we still will have all the square framework. So we'll have the number 2 position, the number 3 position, the number 4 position. So if we end up, for instance, with number 1 couple paired up with his original partner over in the number 4 position, what you'll write is couple number 1 in position number 4. That'll be your answer. If we have couple number 1 standing in the number 3 position, what you'll write down as an answer is couple number 1, position number 3. Now, the number 1 man, there's only 2 ladies involved in a 2-couple dancing. So the number 1 man will either be paired with his original partner in which case you can use the word number one couple, or he won't. If he's not paired with his original partner, then he must be facing his original partner. Everybody agree with that? If his original partner is not beside him, adjacent to him, then he must be facing his original partner. So if you end up in a situation where the number one man is standing in the number two position and he's not paired with his partner, then what you write on the line is number one man in the number two position facing number one lady. That's your answer. We're going to do 20 of these quizzes, and each question is worth 5 points. Your passing grade is an 80. Is everybody ready? Everybody want to play? Okay. Here's the first example. This doesn't count as one of your test questions. This is an example of what you're going to see. In the, let me get rid of, there's something here bothering me. All right. I can read everything. You're going to see the sequence on the left-hand side of the screen. And as you read the instruction above, it says, describe in terms of a full square where the number one boy is and where the number one girl is on completion of the routine. If both are at home, you can just say they're at home, or just say home. And that tells us that the number one couple is standing in their original number one position. So in the case of pass the ocean, recycle, pass through, and partner trade, the answer is going to be the number one couple in the number four position. So number one man will be in the number four position, and beside him will be his original partner. That's the answer to this question. Now, the exercise that we're doing is we're focusing on the number one man. And if we could just go through this practice routine, you can see it says pass the ocean. So where is that number one man going? Relative to where you're standing as a caller, he's moving farthest away from you on the end of an ocean wave, and he's paired with his original partner at this point. The recycle tells you that whoever he's paired with, he's going to end up with, and the recycle will move him over to the number two quadrant. So he'll be in the number two quadrant with his original partner after the recycle. The pass-through moves him simply from the number two quadrant over to the number four quadrant, and he's still with his original partner. And the partner trade basically leaves him, instead of facing out, facing in the same position. And that's why the answer to this question is the number one couple is in the number four position. Okay, so now we're going to start doing it for real, and this is going to be for scoring. Does anybody have any questions before we begin? Unmute your mic and ask any questions that you might have.
Oh, is this timed, or are we just going to, how's this working for
No,
time?
I'm going to go right. I'll go through with you. You'll see the calls on the left-hand side. I'll give you a chance to assimilate them, to figure out what the action is, and then I'll go to the next slide and it'll give you the answer. So what you're supposed to do is, before I give you the answer, you need to write something down on the line. If
So
what you've written down is correct, just put a check mark on that line indicating that you got that particular quiz question correct.
So we're dealing only with two couples.
Only two couples.
And when you say quadrant, you're really talking about the squared set position, basically the
square
side
set
of the square.
positions. That's correct. The original number one, number two, number three, and number four positions. There's not going to be any asymmetric combinations here that you'll need to worry about. And every single test question is going to leave the couple facing in someplace. So you need to be able to figure out where the number one man is position-wise. Is he in the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 position? And does he have his partner beside him, or is he facing his partner, his original partner? Okay?
Hey, Mel, can I record this, please? It's Yolanda. Thank you.
Anybody else?
You've already got recording privileges, Yolanda.
Okay, this is going to be fun now, guys. So take a look at this as being fun. Your answers are in your piece of paper in front of you. You don't have to share the results with anybody. I'm just recommending that the passing grade is going to be an 80. And that means this: if you score an 80 or better, then you've already begun to develop the skill of following dancers through little routines, little 2, 3, 4, up to 7 call routines. And that's a wonderful skill. You need to own that skill before you ever consider some of the more esoteric techniques like technical zeros or anything of that nature. You really need to understand how dancers interact as they move. You need to understand the results of calls. You've all been to a caller school at one point or another, and if you haven't, you should go. And one of the exercises that they'll give you is they'll give you a series of calls, and they'll say, what is the result of this call? How does it affect the people who are interacting in the call? Like a flutter wheel, what does it actually do? If you had to summarize what a flutter wheel does, would you accept the answer that it is a 2-men chain? If you do a flutter wheel from a normally arranged facing couple, what you're really doing is chaining the 2 men and that type of thing. So that's an important exercise. And if you pick up Don's book, and I strongly suggest that you do, because I know he's got at least 10,000 of these in his garage and he needs to get rid of them. Sorry, Don. But it's worth every penny. I don't even know what Don's selling this for, but if it's less than $35, it's worth every penny. And pick it up, because it's going to explain to you the whole method of what they call mental image calling, how to follow these dancers. So now we're going to go through the exercises. If everybody's ready, all right, line number 1, here we go. The call sequence is flutter wheel, sweep a quarter, and slide through. So flutter wheel does what in your mind with the number 1 man? Sweep a quarter does what with the number 1 man? And then slide through does what? Write your answers down. Where's the number 1 man standing? And is he beside his original partner, or is he facing his original partner? That can only be one or the other. And the answer is they're back home. So this particular routine was a 0. Flutter wheel, sweep a quarter, and slide through. Brought him right back home. That's number 1. Here we go. Number 2. So again, we're starting from the home position, which is a 2-couple square. Number 1 couple standing in the number 1 position, number 3 couple standing in the number 3 position. Okay? Slide through, swing through, follow that number 1 man, boys run, and bend the line. Write your answer on the line. And what you've written should look like this. Number 1 boy is home, and he's facing the number 1 girl. Nice work if you got that. All right, our next one. Again, they're squared up as a 2-couple square. Starting from here, ladies chain, half sachet, star through, California twirl. Where is my number 1 man, and where is the number 1 lady? Write your answer on the line. And if you wrote the number 1 couple is in the number 2 position, you got it right. By the way, this slide set will be available for you. So if you want, you can write the correct answers down, but you'll get them anyway in the slide set that Mel will be providing for you. And here's your next one. So once again, we're starting from scratch, from the number 1 couple in the number 1 position, facing the number 3 couple across to them. And from there, they do a square through 2, a clover leaf, a past the ocean, and a recycle. Where is that number 1 man? And where is the number 1 lady? And if you said couple number 1 is in the number 4 position, then you answered correctly. Nice work. That cloverleaf oftentimes blows our mind. But you did well if you got the answer to that one. Okay, now these are just little
Kip,
roll call
Kip,
routines. Go ahead.
Can I can you give us a little more time to think before you give the answer?
Okay. I'm glad
Thank you.
I'm glad you said that. I certainly can. No problem. Okay, we're starting again. Here's another one. Ready? Box the gnat. Follow that number one man. Pass the ocean. Follow that number one man. Boys run. Follow that number one man. Bend the line. I don't want you guys moving checkers now. That's a cheat. Cheat,
That's a
cheat, cheat.
zero.
Cheat, cheat, never beat.
I was in, oh,
If we're in Southern California, this is undefined.
Okay. The answer is home.
Yeah.
So if you got home, you did good. How we doing out there? Somebody make some noise.
Somebody said something about Southern California. What was that?
This routine is undefined in Southern California because after the past the ocean, you have a blob of dancers, not a ocean wave.
Thanks, Mike.
So
Is that
that's-
because they're half sashayed just before they start to pass the ocean?
Yeah, and their hands are still connected on the box and that. So
I know it's because they didn't know about the boys part.
That's actually a very smooth routine. Matter of fact, all of these flow very well. So let's go over to the next one. And we have, from that home position now, veer right. Boys trade, follow that number one boy. California twirl. Wheel and deal. Now let me help you on this one a little bit. The veer right, of course, you can see the number one couple moving to the right. The boys trade is actually the only partner exchange we're doing in this entire routine. So we have to know that the number one boy not only traded, but he traded over to the other girl, his opposite lady. California twirl keeps people together, so he's got to be paired with his opposite lady. And the wheel and deal also keeps the dancers paired, so he still has to be paired with his opposite lady. So wherever he ends up, he must be facing his original partner. And the answer to that one is the number one boy is in the number three position, facing the number one girl. All right, here we go. Next one. Right and left through. That's a Texas right and left through. Veer left. Girls trade. Cast off 3/4. Follow the number one man, right and left through. What happened to him? Veer left. Where did he go? Girls trade. He's still in that same spot. Cast off 3/4. Doesn't move him very much. So if you said number one man in the number two position, the girls trade was the critical thing. He ends up facing girl number one. So number one boy is in the number two position, facing girl number one. Now, how important are these skills that we're learning as we do this? They're extremely important because when you start talking with competent callers, they'll rattle off 3 or 4 calls like this and be able to follow them in their head with a full square. And it's imperative that you have this skill of being able to manipulate 4 dancers anywhere they are in a full square. So it's an important skill that we're learning here. Start again with a pass the ocean. Where's that number one man? Recycle. He's still on the move. Slide through. Did we have anything in there that changed the partners? That's the key. So follow the number one man for this 3-call routine. And if you said number one boy at home facing lady number one, you get yourself a gold star and 5 points. Okay, now these sequences are going to start getting a little progressively more difficult. So I'll give you a little bit more time as we're going along here. Starting again, square through 4. Everybody should know exactly where a square through 4 leaves dancers. Partner trade, pass through, cloverleaf. And in our minds, we're following that number 1 man through this routine. And we want to track the number 1 lady as well, because it's important when we write down our answer, we need to know where that number 1 lady is. Is he beside the number 1 man, or is she facing the number 1 man? And if you wrote on your line, the number 1 couple is over in the number 3 position, paired again with each other, then you got yourself 5 more points. Nice work. Next one, here we go. Touch a quarter, walk and dodge, partner trade, where's that number 1 man moving? Reverse flutter wheel. Touch a quarter, picture it in your mind. Number 1 man, where's he standing? Walk and dodge, where did he go? He was a walker, wasn't he? Partner trade. Sort of leaves him in the same spot, position-wise. Reverse flutter wheel. You should know that if a flutter wheel equals, from normally arranged couples, equals a 2 ladies chain, a 2 men chain, a reverse flutter wheel equals a 2 ladies chain. So that number 1 man didn't go very far.
Number 2 position.
Let's see what they are. Number 1 boy is in the number 2 position, and he's facing the number 1 girl. You got anybody out there getting 100% so far? Don't be bashful.
If I have a question.
I'm getting 100%, but I've been doing it for 40 years.
And there you go.
Apparently Lars is doing all right too.
All right. Great. Great. I can't see here. I can't see the responses. So if
I
you
have
can,
a question.
did I hear a question?
Yeah, I've been considering who I have with a partner at the end of it. You're always saying who's across from me. Is that important to think the way you speak it, or can I think the way I'm thinking it?
I would, let me think about that question. Hang on a minute. You see, these routines are not resolutions, are they? So you always want to be thinking in terms of resolution. So I went back one to the previous exercise question. And the answer was the number 1 boy in the number 2 position. Why do I need to know he's facing girl number 1? Because if I'm going to bring the number 1 man home, he has to interact in some way with that gal that he's facing. If it is his original partner, a slide through is going to bring everybody home. So I guess what I'm trying to say to answer your question is always keep resolution in the back of your mind when you're trying to figure out who you want to follow and why. This is all a lead-in to relationship calling, which is the type of calling that mixes mental imagery with a minimum amount of sight calling.
So can I interrupt for a sec?
Sure,
So,
go ahead.
I am one of the women that follows the number 1 lady. So this is teaching me that I have to, in my head, figure out where the number 1 man is at all times too. But it's definitely interesting to see it from this perspective.
Yes, I probably should have put the caveat in there that it's perfectly okay to choose, for instance, the number 1 lady as your primary or your key dancer. We like to call it the focal dancer. It just so happens that most men will choose the number 1 boy, and I built the exercise around that. It's interesting that you can interpolate these exercises by following the number 1 girl primarily, and then seeing how she finishes relative to the number one boy, because your answer has to be the same. So regardless of whether a lady caller decides that her four key dancers are going to be, for instance, couple number one and couple number two, with lady number one being her focal lady, uh, original partner on her left and original man on her right, it doesn't make any difference. All of our choreographic applications will work equally as well if you decide that you want to have those dancers as your key dancers. The only thing that doesn't work out well is the expression right hand lady. For you, you have to immediately change that to left hand man. Every time you see right hand lady with a right hand lady box or anything of that nature, you have to think of it as a left hand man or a left hand man box. Other than that, everything is identical. All of the
Another
theory will apply.
another way to do that is to just identify yourself with your pivot, your key dancer, your key dancing lady, and then just say that you are somebody's right hand lady. You can associate your relationship with the other man as you are his right hand
I'm sure
lady.
there are
Yeah.
several ways to peel that apple. I mean, there's just several ways to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
for the most part, both Don and Daryl have done a fair bit of writing on this, talking about following the number one lady or a chosen lady around that. And you're absolutely correct. It does not make any difference as far as who goes where or what the outcome is. The only difference is if you're using the resolution station formula, like an Alamand left 1, 2, 3, or 4. That is really the only change that goes in if you're using Dawn's system. Other than that, the process is exactly the same for following dancers, and you're absolutely correct.
yeah,
The,
and
the,
that is correct. The whole framework does shift a bit, but all of the dynamics within the framework are the same.
Yeah. And there
what
are a
in
lot
these
of things.
exercises though, when you're giving the answer to these exercises, if they're not together, if the answer is that she's with the number one man, then the location, such as at home or the number two position or what have you, that all stays the same. If it's the case that she's not with him, and we're talking about where the answer is the number one man is at home, that's the part where you have to realize that you're not with him, and so therefore he's across from you, and so that changes the wording of your answer, sort of.
It
Um,
does. I just went back one, and I might word this. If I were following the number one girl primarily, I might say the number one girl is facing the number one boy who is in the number two position.
Hey, Kip, can you do me a favor on this one right here?
This one, right? Let me go back one. You mean this one that starts with touch a quarter?
I can't. I'm having a problem here. I get touch and quarter where the face out, the walk and dodge are in the number two. Partner trade are still in the number two position. The reverse flutter wheel. Never mind. I figured out what I was doing wrong.
Got it?
Sorry.
It's all a matter of how you look at it. So this answer here, where you say boy number one in number two position, and facing girl number one, you could say that the number one couple are in the number one position, but they're facing. So, I mean, it just depends on how you look at it.
Let's not confuse perspectives.
Yeah,
There's probably 100 different ways to express, but let's just keep it simple.
Mike.
If you're following the boy, follow the number one boy. If you're following the girl, follow the number one girl and keep their direction. Don't mix other things. That's getting way up into the level. Right now
let's just go with the guidelines for this exercise for now, and not get all wound around the axle on other ways that you could express it. The next exercise is right and left through. And now this gets interesting. Dixie style to a wave. What does it do relative to the number one man and the number one lady if you're following her? Okay. The recycle, that number one man, what's he doing? Veer right. Bend the line. And again, this exercise, according to the instructions that we were given, We are following the number one man. We want to follow him. And we want to know how he finishes relative to the number one lady. Right and left through. Dixie style to a wave. Recycle. Veer right. Bend the line. So you've written your answer down, right? If it looks like number one boy home, across from the number one lady, she's facing him, and that's the correct answer, it's a 5-pointer. Okay, moving right along. I know I put a plus call in there. I am determined to get single circle to a wave off the plus list and down where it belongs in the basic program. I'm as determined in doing that as John Jones is determined to keep Do Paso. And I'll be looking for advocates and allies. At any rate, in our exercise, single circle to a wave, what's that number one boy doing? Where's he at? Boy's cross run. He's going to be going somewhere. Is he going to his right or is he going to his left? Left swing through. And then recycle.
Sidebar conversation, Kip.
Say again?
The sidebar conversation. Single circle to a wave is on plus call, but single circle as a direction is basic, and step to a wave is basic. So single circle, step to a wave is basic. Single circle to a wave is plus. I've never figured that one out myself.
All right. That's certainly a rationale to get around the fact that single circle to a wave is in the wrong damn list. Pardon my French. But you're right. And by the way, I teach single circle to a wave in my beginner class somewhere. As soon as I get to ocean waves, is around the 4th or 5th session. You know, the dancers know circle. They know how to circle. I know they circle 4. Why can't they circle 2? It's just a strange thing that this thing would be where it is, to me anyway. Apparently, I'm alone in that, but that's okay. I've been alone before. The answer to this one is number one boy at home facing lady number one. So if that was what you had on the line, congratulations, you got 5 points. Okay, here we go. Lead right, reverse wheel around, reverse flutter wheel, and slide through. This has got great flow, by the way. Lead right, reverse wheel around, reverse flutter wheel, and slide through. If you said home, you're a winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's another 5-pointer for you.
Kip, when you lead right and then do a reverse wheel around, that's a half turn. They're still in a line.
No.
I think what you want to
No.
say is cast off 3/4.
No. Lead right leaves those two couples back to back. A veer right leaves them in a line.
Oh, you're right. I saw it wrong.
Okay, so there you go. That was actually that's actually the trick. If you were to call this to in a regular 2-couple tip to plus dancers, they would veer right. They would not lead right. I know. And that's another sidebar discussion. We're not going to do it right now, but you know, that's I often will use this particular call of leading right just to emphasize the difference between lead right and veer right to my dancers. Here we go. Swing through. Where's that number one man going? Recycle. A half sashayed. Veer left. They're still half sashayed. Boy cross run. That normalizes the pairing. bend the line. Where's my number one man at? And where's that number one lady? Let's go back to the routine and keep our eye on number one lady throughout the routine. Swing through. Where is she at? Recycle. Where is she going? Deer left. Where is she at? She's over near the number 4 quadrant. Boys cross run. Bend the line. So clearly she's still over there with the in the number 4 quadrant. Number one man moved over by the number 2 quadrant, so they can't be together. And the answer is number 1 boys at the number 2 position facing the number 1 girl. Now, I understand that the newer callers will be struggling with this. Believe me, I understand it. But what I want you to appreciate is that the well-versed caller sails through these things. They see them immediately. And so that's the territory that you need to cross in order to become skilled at this. If you're struggling with these and you're not scoring well, you need to do a lot of this, a lot of it. Okay? And you notice that all of these things are 4, 5, 6 calls. Some of them are going to get a little bit more, up to 7 calls, but these are not long routines. Starting from home, pass through, cloverleaf, pass the ocean. I'm going too fast, aren't I? Start again, pass through, cloverleaf, follow that number 1 man, and now he's standing in the number 4 position. Pass the ocean, moves him over to the number 2 position. Swing through, brings him towards the number 4 position. Boys run, he's absolutely in the number 4 position. Bend the line, he's still in the number 4 position. So you've got the guy figured out. What about the girls? And if you wrote on the line, number 1 couple at the number 4 position, there you go. You're a winner again.
Bob Furr, is that your hand up for a question, or are you just drawing them out in your mind? You're muted.
I'm drawing them in the air.
Ah, okay.
I'm moving checkers without having checkers.
I just saw your hand waving on the screen. I didn't know if you were asking a question or not.
Okay, as we go to the next one, I will go back to Don Beck's book again. He talks about X's and O's. And even though it's been a while since I read Don's book, my understanding of X's and O's is when an X occurs, a partner change has occurred. And when an O occurs in a particular call, there's no partner change. And there was a time, let's not dwell on that. But there was a time when I used to cross my fingers. Whenever I used a particular call that ended up swapping or chaining the 2 girls, any kind of a 2 ladies chain effect, I would cross my fingers and uncross them when I undid that. So I might be misconstruing Don's X's and O's a little bit. What I wanted to relate to you was, back in early times when Noah was building his ark and I was learning how to call, I would cross my fingers for the X's and uncross them. And that's how I kept track of these things originally.
When I first learned I was using that system, and I would also do the crossing finger thing, and the caller who was putting me up there, letting me get up and try a tip, eventually noticed what I was doing, and so halfway through a sequence one time, he made a big point of shaking my hand.
That's just not nice.
I actually still teach that once we get into isolated site, when you're working 2 couples, like we've gone from 2 couple dancing, we start that just as 2 couple dancing. And I always do that as far as not really tracking the lady in your mind, but just to cross fingers if they're together or separate, together, separate, together, separate. Track one of the dancers together, separate if they're paired or not. If they're not paired, I cross. Because if you're only tracking one and your fingers are crossed, you know they have the other lady. And it's just a way of reinforcing that. And it really works when you start doing isolated sight modules on a full square as well. So it's still a very, very common technique being used.
Okay. You've had a lot of time now to review these 7 calls. Square through 3, boys run, following that number 1 man in your head. Box circulate, cast off 3/4, boys trade, boys run, and bend the line. A lot of action there for the men. They're covering a lot of territory, only to arrive back home.
They're home.
Hey, I got that one.
There you go. Okay. So the couple actually get back home again on this one. I hope you guys got that one. The next one, from the home position now. Wheel around. Half sashay. Cloverleaf. You should understand now that that number 1 man is standing in the number 4 position, but he's half sashayed with whoever he's beside. Past the ocean is going to leave you in a half wave, men in the center. Swing through is going to put the boys back out on the ends of that wave. And then the recycle is probably going to bring that number 1 man back home. Question is, where's the number 1 lady? So let's just go through it again. Wheel around. Picture those dancers facing out. Half sashay goes so nice with that flow. And the half sashay also sets up the cloverleaf action. Cloverleaf, the past the ocean. The swing through, putting the men back out to the ends of that right-hand wave. And recycle. It's going to bring everybody home. Okay. We're coming down to the end of this now. Instead of starting out with a wheel around, let's do a pass through and then wheel around. And then a half sashay. Now square through 2. Careful of this one. Reverse wheel around. Girl walk, boy dodge. Walk and dodge. And all face in. Start again. Pass through. Follow that number 1 man. He's looking out. Wheel around. Now he's looking in, number 3 position. Half sashay. He's still in number 3 position, but he's moved to the other side of the lady. Square through 2. That brings him out facing the number 2 position. Reverse wheel around is to set up the walk and dodge for the girls. Reverse wheel around has the girl doing the push action, boy backing. Girl walk, boy dodge. That's a hint that the boy still must be in the number 2 position. Walk and dodge sends the boy over towards the number 4 position. Face in, boy, he's going to be home. Everybody's at home at this point. Okay, here we go. Pass through. Picture that in your mind. Partner trade 1.5 is going to leave the dancers in a half right-hand ocean wave, where the men are still paired with their original partners in that wave. The left swing through is initiated by the men who are in the center. So they turn left and then swing right with the girl halfway. The center's trade, combination of the left swing through center's trade is like a left swing through 3 hands. So the girls are being involved in that center's trade. Spin the top. Remember that in a spin the top, the men are always going to, the end and center dancers who start the action end up together again. Okay? Boys cross run. That's going to set up a left-handed ocean wave. Girls in the center with right hands, boys in the ends, left hand with the girl, and a chain down the line. This is a great figure. Pass through, partner trade once and a half to a left swing through, centers trade, spin the top, boys cross run to a chain down the line. And if you wrote the number 1 couple is over in the number 2 position, winner, winner, chicken dinner. I think this is the last one. Should be number 20. Right and left through. Courtesy turn plus a quarter more. That's going to set up a 2-face line. Chain down the line. Let the girl walk and the boy dodge. This cast off must be with the left hand. And you could help the dance a little bit by saying, all cast left 3/4. Or use your left, cast 3/4. Girls cross run, boys trade. Should be a name for that call. Boys run and bend the line. A lot of action in this call, a lot of action. Everybody's moving. Right and left through, courtesy turn and a quarter more. Where's the number 1 man, number 1 lady? They're still beside each other. Chain down the line. There she goes. She's gone. However, the girl walk, boy dodge brings her back again. Got her by the left hand, cast left 3/4. That's going to set up that lefty ocean wave. Girls are in the center. Girls cross run. Brings the boys to the center. Boys trade. Boys run, bend the line. I'm looking at the number 1 man being at home. And he's there with his original partner. Okay, so did you pass? And if you did, congratulations. 80 is a tight score. I picked 80 because I take a lot of civil tests here in the state of California for my licensing, and 80 seems to be the passing grade. So I just chose 80. Congratulations if you scored 80 or higher. If not, no worries, because this is a great yardstick for you. It simply means you need more work. You need to develop this skill before you move on to some of the more difficult concepts, such as technical zeros. And the next step, what do? After you're able to follow dancers as they're moving, the next step is to reverse the process by choosing a location where you want the dancers to finish, and then put calls together that will get them there. Because eventually, you're going to have to manipulate 4 dancers, and you're going to have to put them in particular position so that you can then apply whatever's in the back of your mind to apply. Relationship calling is a get-out driven type of calling, and most of the time the callers will have a get-out in mind, and that get-out requires a specific setup. And so that's what this next exercise would be, taking 4 dancers, 2 couples, and putting calls together that will get them in a particular place. Like, for instance, if I had a 2-couple square like we've been dancing, and I say, okay, I want the number 1 couple to end up facing in the number 2 position. How would I get them there? Well, lead right, California twirl. Swing through, boys run, bend the line. Get the idea? So that's the next step. So once you develop the skill of following the dances mentally in your head, then you need to develop the skill of putting the dances where you want them. All right. Let's just take a little pause at this point. Wow. And answer any questions that you might have, because I think I've just about covered an hour here.
Well, there's not a lot of questions. Actually, there's no questions in the chat. There's a lot of comments about how great this exercise is. Some people do this as a something to put into their car when they're driving to practice in their head. Do this. There's a couple of great suggestions and a few others in personal chat for if you're having trouble, if you're a lady caller, follow the lady first and then follow the man. Just switch your thought. And also, it's a great idea for all callers to do that. Follow the lady first and then follow the man first if you're a lady, and then the lady, because the outcome is exactly the same. It'll put you into that perspective. Excellent exercise, Kip. As you said, the slides are going to be available. They will be posted on the website. You can email me. I will email them out to you if you wish to, once Kip sends it to me, and Mark will be putting the augmented documentation also up on the website and the newbie callers pages for everybody to use. Kip, absolutely fantastic. The floor is open for questions.
Hey, Kip, what was the single circle boys cross run figure again?
God, I don't know where. I'd have to look it up. Hang on a minute. Let's see if I have it here.
Single circle to a wave, boys cross run, chain down the line.
No, the single circle to a wave, boys cross run, left swing through,
left swing
recycle.
Cycle.
Yeah, that puts the boy
Number
at
12.
Yeah, puts the boy at home facing his partner.
Is that what was said?
Yeah.
You guys, I don't think I'm sharing this.
It's number 12.
Yeah. I need to find out where I am here. I lost me.
Single circle to a wave, boys cross run, left swing through, and recycle.
Oh, right, there it is. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
That was the one. Single circle to a wave, boys cross run to a left swing through and a recycle. Okay, stop to share. Like I said, I was going to take a half an hour to do the exercise. I kind of figured it might take longer. And then I was going to morph into the practical application for technical zeros. I don't have time for that, guys. We're going to have to do that in another session. And I hope that doesn't disappoint some of the more experienced callers, perhaps, that we're looking forward to it. I will say that if we get time to do another session on the practical use of technical zeros, it's very, very valuable. All right. It's a very interesting exercise that you will get a lot of insight about pairings, all the relationship situations, pairing situations, and you'll get a lot of practical information that you can put to use the next time you call. I've got a whole session set up, and it's not, but I've collected about 5 or 6 technical zeros that I use all the time to manipulate the answers where I want them to be. And I don't know, Mel, well, you've got a pretty full schedule there too. We'll do the best we can to get back to that practical applications on technical zeros.
I've got bookings up until end of March right now. Mike Hayworth is coming in to do a session on making the most of technical zeros on the 31st of January. But I'm not taking any bookings right now after March because I'm not sure exactly when my surgery is going to be. But I hope, and it's my plan, to keep on going with these throughout the year. We've been doing it since 2019 and very popular since pretty much February of 2020. So we'll be here for a long time. We've been here for a long time, and we'll keep going. So definitely. And like I said, always get it in. It's always good. And what you said about caller schools, absolutely. And little product plug placement here, Kip. For those of you that have not already looked at Behind the Mic magazine or various other locations where there's caller resources, Kip Garvey runs an online caller school, takes bookings and sessions. Contact him. It's definitely worthwhile. It's training at your own pace. He's always available for comments. So sign up for it. It's definitely worth the investment.
Hey guys, on the bottom of your screen, there's a little thing called reactions. And if you click on that, if you got 100% on the quiz, let me see a thumbs up.
I can tell you right now, I didn't.
I got them all, but I sit around doing exactly these kind of exercises all the time, and I've been doing that for, like I said, decades. But I sit around doing that, in my spare time.
Yeah, I guess I probably developed this whole exercise idea when we were developing singing call figures. Because singing call figures, you're almost restricted to the, 5, 7, certainly not more than 8 calls in a decent singing call figure. And this type of development is a process I use to develop singing call figures that I like to use. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing these sessions very much so. And I hope we get a chance to meet again online. I hope we get a chance to dance again in real time. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much, everybody.
I thought that was just a great presentation. That was lots of fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we are at the top of the hour. Please don't feel obligated to stay if you have other things to do. But as always, the discussion forum is open. If you have any questions for Kip, he's going to hang around for a few minutes and answer any questions. Kip, can you just put your email in the chat in case people want to contact you?
Sure. It's a tough one. Really tricky.
Well, I found doing the Zoom dancing really helped. Sorry, the sound's not good on this computer.
You found the Zoom
I
dancing
found the
really
Zoom
helped you.
dancing really helped with this exercise.
Yeah. A lot of the Zoom dancing is two-couple calling. There's Kip's address, kip@kipgarvey.com. He's very easy to chat to, very easy. And he's one of the few callers that I have found that you send him an email, he usually gets back to you within a day or so. And he's got an incredibly busy schedule with all the online training. So take the time, make the contacts.
Anybody that wants to do a one-on-one, just send me an email, set up a time, and that's mutually beneficial for both of us, and we'll do it. I'm happy to do it for you.
This is Eric. Just a comment to Kip. By default, Zoom shows you a mirror image, just you, not everybody else. If you click on the little arrow next to start video, you'll get options, video settings. And if you go in there, you can turn off the mirror, in which case you will see exactly what everybody else sees and you'll be able to read the title on your book.
Oh, look at that. And it looks so much better this way, too.
Video.
Yep.
Yep, that's Don's book.
Are there any comments from the floor? Any discussions?
I think I might have done better than Phil because Phil had problems. He says his girl kept going to Walmart.
I did okay. Kip, I had a tough time following the woman. I don't know what the problem is with me, but the other thing is, if you go at this slow enough, it's just like doing it in static. It's like a static mode, but I don't know if I'll ever get up to where I can do it dynamically. It was in real time. This exercise is really great, but I can see if I did it enough, I could progress up to where this is in real time. I wouldn't have to stop and think like that.
You will develop the ability to do it in real time. As a matter of fact, you'll be able to do it significantly faster than we did it. You just have to have faith in the fact that if you do it continually and do it a call at a time, just start with swing through. See what swing through does. Do a half sachet, then do a swing through. Do a spin the top. Do it one call at a time, John. I think it's John that was speaking.
Yeah.
And you will develop the skill. You will improve. It's like anything else. But if you worry about it, you decide not to do this or to move on to do something else, I don't think you're going to develop this skill.
Oh,
And
yeah,
this
it's
skill
all,
is so important. Every caller owns this skill. Every good caller owns it.
well, there's my problem. I don't have enough of that 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10 stuff going for me, but I'm working on it.
I do want to warn you about doing it in the car. Sometimes I've been driving along and I'm so busy visualizing the dancers, I don't really feel I'm seeing the road anymore. And that's dangerous.
Right.
Yeah, but Betsy, the advantage to that, Betsy, is when you're doing it and you miss those 12 intersections because you're doing all this, there's always going to be somebody you can pop in and see because you're welcome everywhere.
When I can't get to sleep, I do it at night.
I do a lot in the shower.
That's
I'm not recommending it, but I write my best stuff in the shower.
I have stopped going, Roy, listen to this, if I'm working at night.
Oh, yeah.
I've told the story before, but there was one time I woke up Lois at 3 in the morning and said, "You got to hear this."
Not a good thing.
I never have made that mistake again. And it was 48 years ago, so.
You say this slide presentation will be available?
It will be. Kip's going to email it to me, and you can either send me an email at my email address. Mark will post it up on the OC Callers website, and I believe, Mark, you're still posting the documentation on the newbie callers and the callers and training websites. Absolutely fantastic. So the videos will be up there as with the presentation, so you can watch them and go through the whole thing all over again and listen to Kip for 20 hours at a time if you so desire. Sometimes it's worth it, especially when he's buying the drinks. So Kip, is it true that you prefer people to call you at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're well rested? Is that when the best time to call you?
Well, I'll tell you what. Always initiate using email.
Yeah.
Do not. I don't do anything with Messenger or anything like that. So.
Oh, that's why you don't talk to me anymore.
Mel, I'm trying to send you that file now.
Okay. So if you have no more questions for Kip, the floor is open for general discussion. If anybody has anything they would like to talk about.
I nominate Bob Elling.
We'll be here all day then.
Good.
There is one thing that I would like to let everybody know. Caller Lab is doing a review of the programs again, which is the triennial review, which happens every 3 years, of course. If you are a member of Caller Lab, even if you're not on the basic and mainstream committee, you should be receiving emails about what some of the proposed changes are. They're looking for any things that people want to propose. Kip has mentioned putting Single Circle back onto the basic program, which I fully agree. Single Circle to a wave back onto the basic program, which I fully agree with. There's a number of different issues that are coming up, a number of different things that are coming up. So have a look at those. If you're not a member, go to the Caller Lab website, have a look at what's going on. Have your say. It's the only way you're going to affect change, if you want change, is by becoming a part. I posted the schedule for upcoming things into the chat if you're interested, and let's open the floor up.
You also can affect no change if you don't want to have no change.
Yeah.
Yep, I just got your email.
Okay, good. And I'm going to say goodbye. You've got the email, you've got the file, and anybody who wants a copy of the slide presentation, please contact Mel directly, and he can get it to you one way or the other, Dropbox or whatever method he's using. I appreciate seeing you all. I wish you all best of health. Stay healthy. Stay good. We'll be back to dancing soon if you're not already. And God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Kip.
Appreciate it, and we will
Thank
definitely
you. Bye-bye.
for your working with the technical zeros.
Thanks, Kip. Thanks, Kip.
Thanks. Bye.
Kip.
Thanks, Kip.
Thank you, Kip.
Thank you. Who was the person that said about the mirror image, changing mirror image on the computer,
On the Zoom screen.
on the Zoom?
That was Eric Tangen.
Go down to where it says stop video and push on that little caret there. Then go up to
yeah, I've had a look.
choose virtual background. Then down at the bottom of the virtual background, there's a thing that says mirror my video. Either check the box or uncheck the box.
I've looked at it and done that. My question is, when virtual dancing, if we did that, would that make the couples that we're pinning be normal? Because we actually, if we pin a couple, they're opposite. So we have to make sure if we go the wrong place, we've got to make sure we're opposite them to them. I'm just wondering whether doing that would correct that or not. Sorry?
Yeah.
That'll mirror your video, not theirs.
Right. So would that help with me? Would that make them not mirror image or make me? Oh.
It'll make you not mirror image to them and to you.
Okay, so it won't make any difference. Okay.
If they're on the wrong side, you should be telling them to uncheck or check the mirror image on their Zoom settings if they're coming up wrong.
Right. Okay. So get them to change if they're willing to. All right. It's worth considering because there's one couple a lot of people pin and they're pretty good, pretty easy with things. So they'd probably do that. Worth a try, Yolanda.
Yes.
I have a question. If you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm Reinhold Rodig. I'm new to Zoom, so I'm still technically challenged with it. How do I get my picture in here? My camera still has to be set up, but I would like to have at least my picture. I loaded it up into the Zoom, but it doesn't show here. Well, not important. I will find out somehow.
I think you have to go to profile.
I think you have to own, don't you have to own a copy?
I did it there, and it's there in the profile, but it doesn't show up here. Probably only when the meeting starts. So it's.
And mine comes and goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reinhold?
Yeah.
Go into the settings, select video, and you got to choose the camera that it's using.
Yeah, okay. I will work on it, Bob, and I will call you a little later and try to test it with you.
Sure, yeah, we'll go back and forth.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you all. This is great. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. It's good that you're going to be doing a session.
I was just going to say, in case any of you don't know, Reinhold is going to be doing the session, I believe, on Colorama.
Correct.
On February 14th.
Yes, February 14th. Mm-hmm.
I hope you don't mind me using your dancers up there on my screen.
Oh, not at all. I saw them. I'm delighted.
I did this one too.
So maybe I should go in there and try another letter. See what's happening with this bulb.
Oh, wonderful, yeah. Also, I want to let you know, probably tonight or tomorrow, I will release a new version of Colorama that has two couple dancing.
Yes!
I'm a little late with this. I apologize, but we moved early last year, and I had a lot to do, so I neglected the software, but now I'm up into it again, and I've already finished two couple of things, so it will be available in a few days.
Cool.
I will be downloading it as soon as I can find, as soon as you post it.
Do you still have my 6-couple choreography?
Oh yeah, it's all in there. And
Let me
also
share it with everybody.
you don't have to look for a new version. If in your Colorama the check mark that says update, automatic update is checked, the box automatic updates, then you will be notified when you start your program. You will be notified about a new version, and the website will turn up.
The program link took about 45 seconds to download and about a minute to install, and it worked right from the onset. No problems whatsoever.
Wow, thank you. That's good. Sometimes there are problems with Norton security.
No, I have Norton running. Didn't have a problem at all.
Yeah, but I'm glad to hear it was so easy.
For everybody, you know, Reinhold does an amazing job, but stop and think of this. I introduced the 6-couple rectangular choreography 1 year at Collar Lab, and Reinhold attended the session, and he went out and took a break, and an hour later he came back and he had written the 6-couple implementation for it with all my choreography in an hour.
It's not quite true. I did your figures. There were some calls that you had that were not in the program, and I programmed them.
Yeah, you had to adjust some choreography to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I'll never interesting figures, and I had to program them in. So
and then we went out and had a good German beer.
Yeah, that was the best part.
I do have one question, Reinhold. In Colorama, typing the entries in, can you type the movement that you want, or is it all drop-down menu?
Yeah, you just start typing. And I know you said you would prefer typing full call names.
Yeah, I hate using abbreviations.
I do not recommend this because it takes a long time. Try it once. In your list of calls, there's a setting where you see both the shortcut and the full name of the call. The shortcut will be on the left. And in a short while, you will be proficient in these shortcuts. And then you can type as fast as you call. I know of some users who said they record callers on this software by typing in the shortcuts and take it home as an example.
My typing is not too bad, but I hate using abbreviations. I've spent 25 years in the Army dealing with acronyms. I hate acronyms.
Okay, then you are better off with voice. Just use voice.
Yeah.
Oh, question. Is it still better? Does the voice recognition in Windows work better if you select German as your operating system?
Well, for me, if you haven't noticed, I do have a German accent, and that gives me some trouble on the English speech engine. I provided a German version because I have quite a few users in Germany and they have the same problem, obviously. And it works much, much better because the vocabulary, the German vocabulary doesn't have English words. But I programmed in the square dance calls. So the German speech recognition is much better at recognizing the square dance calls because there's no competition from other, not much from other phonetic stuff that it could be mistaken for.
Yeah, there is one very distinct advantage to the voice recognition software that you have on this, Reinhold, and that is For callers that tend to mumble a bit when they're calling or rush their words or clip their words when they time, you actually have to enunciate clearly, speak clearly, and deliver clearly, and it picks it up very well. So it's a good
training.
practice in actual speaking as well.
Okay.
But I'm sure Reinhold's going to give us a very, very thorough rundown. We're product placement, a little prelim, a few little candies to whet your appetite to dig into the full bag of candies that Reinhold's going to be presenting at, which is Colorama on Valentine's Day for us here in Australia, or the day before Valentine's Day. So it would be an excellent session for you all to invite your partners to, and she can give you this as a Valentine's Day present.
Reinhold, is there an upgrade path from version 1.25?
Oh, that's 1.25 is ancient. It's no longer supported. You need to go to colorama.com and download the new Colorama. Install the new Colorama from colorama.com. Colorama.com. Your version is no longer is obsolete.
Yes, but does he save any money if he updates? That's the question.
Say it again, please.
He wants to know if he will save money if he upgrades.
Oh, I do not charge him if we on the transition.
You got that price, kid? You can't beat it.
Don't make a payment. After you have transitioned, I charge only for new devices in the future. That's $10 on a new computer.
And if you overpay like I did, he'll refund your money.
Yeah, unfortunately, some pay full, and then I have trouble. I have to give it back, which is hard on me, but hey, I have to do it.
And no, it'll go in, Fred, it'll go in with a small a as well. I just double checked it on the web page and gone, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, or if you can't find it, just type colorama.com in your search engine and it'll take you right to the home page. First link.
May I say one more thing? This Colorama software, when you do not pay, you can do almost anything on it. I mean, you can do everything on it except save something, and you will only see 8 calls sequenced. But that's a lot of functionality for somebody who wants to practice calling, like enunciation, or mentally follow the dancers and see the result when you look at the screen. All stuff like this you can do. There's an enormous amount of features. You can use all of them free. I want to promote free use of Colorama. Only when you are serious about saving your routines, then you need to pay up once, and it's for life. But for the presentation I'm going to give in February, it would be great if participants already had the free Colorama, especially since I can connect to all participants with a remote feature that works in the background. And you will see the dancers that I move on my screen moving on your own Colorama program. You could even give calls there, but we won't do this on February. I mean, you can have a meeting of callers who call alternately to Colorama, and it will be all synchronized. So if you already had Colorama or downloaded the free version, there's no need to pay anything, then you can enjoy this feature in the upcoming session.
And I'll be putting that out when I put the Wednesday notification that if you do not already have it, load the free version and the link.
Yeah, and
so
if
that
you
this
would
can be done.
emphasize, I'm not out to get paid users.
Yeah.
It's up to you yourself whether you want to have the full feature of being able to save your routines. If you don't, and if you don't want to spend the money, I'm perfectly happy if, for you using the free Colorama version.
Okay. One thing I'd like to say that, well, we've been together since the very beginning on Colorama, right, Reinhold?
Yeah,
And what I just recently found out, and he's probably been doing it a while, we lost connections, both of us missing Color Lab, but he offers it free to dancers. And what I saw as just an amazing opportunity coming up is you can write a few sequences, email them to your dancers, and they can watch them performed on screen at home. This is not going to help everybody who takes a class, but it'll get somewhere between 15 and 20% of the dancers improving their performance. That's my thought. Hi, Guido.
Hi, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you again, but before this turns into a commercial for Colorama, I will mute myself and just listen from now on. Thank you very much.
Don't worry, Reinhold, because once the sessions are over, we never know where the conversation is going to go.
Yeah. Maybe Yolanda will give her favorite recipes.
Well, actually, one of my friends has just zipped me a copy of Colorama, and it's on my list of things to learn how to do. So when I heard that there was going to be a session on it, it's like, yes.
Yeah, one thing, Yolanda, on those, because you're a lot better off just going to the website and downloading the free version, because it's constantly updated. If you get a zipped version that you store in your hard drive, it doesn't always update, because usually the version, especially if it's a purchase version, because it's on somebody else's website.
It's just a free version. It was just because I've got the new laptop and everything has to be installed in it. So one of my friends says you should not have your new laptop without a Colorama. So
Yeah,
there you go. I'm still advertising for you, Reinhold.
I'm coming back. There's only one version. There aren't different versions. There's only one, and it updates automatically and everything. Only one version is there. Only if you have not paid and received the key from me, then it's the free version. But you can do everything on it except saving your routines. So
and you're better off getting the latest.
It's automatically the latest. If you don't have the latest, you open your program, you are directed to the website and prompted to download, to over-install it over your current version. And then it's updated.
That'll work. Because I do have one question for you. Are you able to change the colors on the dancers?
Yeah, if you and others would read the introduction in help.
Yes, that's what I'm doing right now.
I know this, but nobody reads it. So yes, there is in the program where it says there's a little icon on top, a little colored square. You click there, you can change the colors in many ways. And also, I have just incorporated a feature that has been asked for by lady callers, and that refers to what Kip mentioned. If you follow the number one lady instead of the number one boy, in this new release that will come out tonight or tomorrow, there's a little checkbox, and you can reverse the colors, so you follow, as a lady caller, you follow the lady instead of the man.
Cool.
Visually.
I've just turned them all to gray.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah, that like you take off the numbers and turn them to black and white, and then you can do what Kip demonstrated. You can enter a routine, and then when you're done, look at it and check whether you have the formation that you pictured in your mind, and then click on the numbers and check whether you are right about the position of the boys and girls, number one boy and girl. So this is a way to not only practice this mental calling, whether 2 couple or 4 couple, but also check whether you were right and have earned the 5 points or not.
Cool. Yeah. Now, like I said, I just downloaded it the other day, and I've just been playing with it, looking at it, and finding all sorts of things, looking for a way to type in the commands. But that's just me because I'm old school that way. But the voice recognition software is great. And it's just a matter of seeing what's in there and what's not. I love it. Oh, you can change individual colors of dancers too. Ooh, look at that.
But no polka dots.
No, I just realized I've got my number 2 couple. He's wearing green and she's wearing purple.
Must be a singles group.
No, everybody else is paired up. Must be the caller's partner.
Well, at least now I know some people are using it, so if I have questions.
Reinhold, any idea when you're going to be getting the 2 couple onto the new session like you had on the original?
Yeah,
I have on my other
I
computer.
will publish it tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, good.
And then your Colorama will update and you will have it on your program.
Thank you. That was very good for teaching purposes.
Oh, yeah, John. Nice to see you, John.
Yeah, good to see you.
We have been in contact quite a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm still reading
I'll
the
be in touch.
information. I'm still reading the information part. So once I get into version 2, then do I click on something to update it?
You have version 2.
Yes.
I mean, there is, you don't have to update. Well, on your Colorama program, there is, on the top, there's a field that says tools.
Okay.
I believe, sometimes I must look myself where it is. No, it's not in tools. It's read the help. Somewhere there's a checkbox that is by default activated. It says automatic update or something like this.
Okay.
Actually, it's not fully automatic. It just opens the website for you when there's a new version. And then you can decide yourself whether to download this new version or not. It will keep all your settings and everything you have. It will just over-install the new version, keeping your personal data. And then you have it.
I'm tempted to play with it, but I figured I better read the instructions first. Because once I start playing with it, I won't read the instructions.
That will save you a lot of time. It will save you a lot of time.
And they're 2 separate icons. So I can't cheat.
Yeah, one thing that's nice on that version 2 also is it shows the dancers as a 3D, and so you're looking down on top of the dancers, and you can actually see what they're doing rather than looking at the back of a dancer. It's pretty interesting that way.
You mean like that?
Yeah, that's it, Mel. Yeah.
I'm hoping it's going to help me with my real checkers as well. You know, because I'm still learning how to move some of them around.
It also shows the tabulation checkers if you prefer.
Well, I want to learn both. I actually have a 3D version of checkers and a flat version of it, a two-dimensional checkers. So, I want to learn both.
What I like is about the 3D is it actually makes you feel as though you're going to people. And when you get into doing a class, you're not looking at a little checker looking, moving around. You actually see the people moving more, and it helps the caller's mind, my mind, a little better.
All
And
around our
keeping
voices
track of the
that they
caller,
started.
of the dancer.
Vocabulary updated.
John, can you click on Tools? And in the list, there's Start Checker Mover. And here you get a tool that's independent from your colorama. It's just a checker mover, but it's corresponding with your colorama. You can use it standalone or not, and just use it as a checker mover. You can, with your mouse, you move the icons around and check out formations and so on.
So does it let you finish, like if you're doing a singing call, does it let you do an animal left and right and left grand? Like, because like Terminations doesn't let you do that.
This is just like your box of 8 wooden figures that you move around, 8 checkers. Only they are virtual on the screen, you move them with your mouse.
Good.
And that can be used independently from Colorama. It actually, Colorama creates a shortcut to it when you install it. So if you want just the checker mover, do not use the Colorama 2 shortcut, but the other one that says checkers.
Yes. So
and you notice when you move the checkers, what I do on one side, if I have the boys run, for instance, just like moving the checkers.
Yeah, but you can also do.
The other side does the same thing.
You can also do asymmetric. There's a little checkbox. When you check there where it says asym,
yeah,
you can move them asymmetrically. But that's just a checker mover. It's not automated in any way.
I like this feature. Heads square through. Heads square through. Swing through. Boys run. Bend the line. Right and left through. Flutter wheel. Slide through. Allemande left. Swing and promenade. Promenade. Home.
that is neat.
And I can't remember who was saying it, but when you're, a lot of times dancers, Reinhold has the simple version free to, or sorry, the free version available to dancers as well. So callers can actually look at teaching these teaching some of the movements virtually online, reviewing how things are done, and dancers can actually see the flow as opposed to move this checker, slide it around quick, head square through, and the checkers just step in and face the corner at the end position. You can actually see the flow a little bit better. And it's also good for callers just to practice their resolution techniques. So it's an excellent toy. I am looking forward to your presentation on Valentine's Day for me, and looking forward to playing with this and seeing what else I can do with it.
If I can have one more minute, since John has his Colorama open here. I want to test whether I can move his dancers.
Okay.
So John, if you go to tools.
It's Mel, actually. I've got mine open.
Oh, Mel, if you go to tools.
Yeah.
Here under colorama.net, connect as a client. Takes a little while.
And this is one of the reasons why they want to have it up and running, if you have it, for the session on Valentine's Day.
Click there. Click it again. You need to switch your layout. Go to layout and go to list mode. Because this, when you download it first, you get a smaller layout because the full layout is more confusing. So now Mel has the full layout with all features, including Colorama.net. And in this box, enter 6 letters. And the letters are F, D. Let's get my NATO alphabet for this with my German accent.
Yes.
Enter Foxtrot.
Delta.
Delta. Bravo. Romeo. Bravo. X-ray. Yeah. Yeah. Now you are connected.
All yours.
So now I can call.
Oh. And is the code different every time?
Well, I'm calling now on his.
Okay.
And like my Colorama is now a host, and Mel's is a client.
No, but my question was, if every time you connect as a client, do you get a different code?
Yeah, the code is always the same. It's sort of my home number.
Okay.
But it always looks a little different. It's sort of encrypted. If you want to join this session with me, then you have to use this code that I just gave to Mel.
And as I understand it, if, for instance, if I wanted to host a session on Colorama and I had 5 new callers that wanted to log in, I could act as a remote host and they could see exactly what I'm talking about.
Only the host needs a full version, a paid version. The other ones, as many as you want, can use the free version. And and Mel can also give calls himself because I have set it to full. So Mel, if you want to call, then I see it on my screen. But first, I give a command like I say heads past the ocean. Now they move. Now Mel gives the command.
Extend.
Now the voice is a bit tricky. I still have to work on it. Click something in the list. Yeah, extend the tag. Pin the top. I don't have my voice on. I actually don't use it much. I must type it. So this is an example how we can alternate calls working remotely.
What's the cross run on here? I don't know your abbreviations.
X, type in X.
Yep.
On your keyboard, you don't have to point anywhere, just on your keyboard, type X.
I want to do a boys cross run.
Yeah, type X start with X on your keyboard.
That's what I'm doing.
Or you have the voice on.
Oh, I got to turn that off, do I?
Yeah, turn the voice off. Click on the microphone, on the white microphone. So the voice is muted. Now on your keyboard, type X.
I am, but it's nothing's happening.
Yeah, maybe because it's, no, it doesn't have anything to do with Zoom.
Well, you have to say who's going to cross run. The girls could cross run from here.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Type B. That selects the boys. And now type X. Now that's the both.
EX.
No. Look to the upper right of your Colorama window.
Yeah.
Click on all. Take your mouse so everybody is selected.
There we go. Just taking a while.
Yeah, boys in the
Yeah,
upper right
that's
corner.
because when you do something, it has to go to me and then it comes back. I will work on, yeah.
I think you have to say all, then say centers, then you can do X.
No, you could just, I mean, there's too much clicking. Just click all.
Are you clicking as well?
No, I'm not.
Because I click it and then it just shuts, it turns on and it turns off.
Try centers, CT for center dancer.
It always goes to sides for some reason. Let's reset the square. I will reset.
There we go. And I canceled the routine and it came on.
Yeah, if you don't want to be asked every time, just at the bottom in the middle, there's a check mark. If you're unchecked there, it will not ask you. That's easier. I'm not so sure what you are doing.
Trying to type head square through.
Oh, yeah. Now type SQ.
Do I not have to, I have to click heads?
Well, you either click it in the list, square through, or you type SQT.
Right. So I will have to learn all the abbreviations.
Yeah. It's really easier when you use the abbreviation.
Not for me, but it's part of learning a program. Like anything else, you got to learn a new language. You want to call, you got to learn a new language. So
also, if you wouldn't mind going to layout and select label mode, I strongly recommend using label mode.
Wow.
Because the list is very long and you have to scroll it. Here, every available call is represented by a field that is marked either in white when it is for the current active dancers, or in pink when it can be done by somebody else.
So with this, I could do heads.
Yeah.
Are these
now in the basic calls, they are in order of teaching. You find your grand square or your square through or whatever, and click there.
You want square through, just hit it square through the very first one.
Square through on the square through.
That's square through 4.
There's a delay because it always goes to my Colorama first and then back to yours.
I know what happened now, because what I had done was tried to do head square through, but I'd already done a square through. Hi, Betsy.
Bye, Betsy.
Bye.
Enjoy your meal.
Bye.
Bye.
Is this the $65 version or?
Yeah, there's only one version.
Okay.
If you
So it's
don't need to save anything and are content with having only 8 calls sequence, you can do